Namaste. We're at the last workshop in this series, and we want to give a short summary with a few recommendations. And then we'll start the next series of workshops within the next 2 or 3 weeks. By that time, we will have the tax-exempt status completely complied with, and we will have a bank account, and we will have the way for you to make donations, and we'll move on from there. Thank you for staying on board for this trip, and hopefully you will gain something from this that will put you more and more where you want to be with your life. That's the bottom line on these workshops. Now, this is workshop 5 that is related to the summary of what we've talked about and concrete specific recommendations for you to do if you choose. The summary, in essence, says that somehow in our epigenetic evolution, from conception through to death at the biological level, there's no death at the eternal level, we have hung on to some closed systems in our evolution over the past few million years, much longer than we needed to, and thus fell out of the flow. And in falling out of the flow, we have become stuck. And that seems to be when we moved from the singularity after the Big Bang, and we started to recreate the whole solar system, that in some way we have not been able to quite make it once we developed the duality. So going back to basic numbers, 1 plus 2 equals 3, or 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3, and both of those are 3 in 1. That takes us back to the one unified whole of the individual, the other, and the God consciousness. And this paradigm is an attempt to point to one perspective around that block. In moving to the unification and staying in tune with the epigenetic evolution, it is important to note that as we spiral around and upward, that we move through Self-1, which is primarily the space for nurturing, support, caring, and developing, whether it's a biological baby or a psychological baby. It's important that we note that nurturing is essential, at least for the first decade. And as we fine-tune microscopically this space, we will find and explore and research ways to continue to evolve and integrate the three in one idea. This is one possible way around the conflict inherent in the duality, where the only way to remain with the singularity is to wipe out one side of the duality. And that's underneath the whole idea of war, ambivalence, conflicts, love, hate, and those type of disorders that seem to perpetuate human conflict politically, intraculturally, intrafamiliarly, and between nations, and tends to keep us separate, thinking that we are better or worse than each other, rather than seeing that we're all one, we all want the same thing essentially, and that we have been unable to achieve that, and are willing to start being more conscious of reality and back to the oneness that keeps us connected in the creative process. Now, suggestions for practical application. 1, be sure that you are clear that you are ready to take full responsibility for your life, even before you had the consciousness of any self. It's important to step in this direction before you can fully enter into the conflicts that will occur on this path. As you continue to look upward and outward in the spiraling from the first chakras to the 7th chakra, it's important for us to see that each individual is born with a part of the 7th chakra built into the 1st chakra. And pretty much like the coverings and peelings of an onion, we have levels and layers that move from the vortex outward. Now, moving through the first 3 chakras, chakra 1, related to aggression, can often be discovered in violence. Chakra 2, which is related to sexuality and gender, and chakra 3, which is the power energy chakra. That's the self-one energy system and the roots of human energy, as well as the roots of universal energy.
Okay.